Hello, welcome to today's immigration tidbit. So you got an adverse credibility ruling. What does that mean? Okay, let me explain. Normally, when you're in asylum hearings, that's when this comes up. It does come up in other places, but when you're applying for something that requires a great deal of factual evidence, the judge has to believe what you're saying. That's the bottom line. If the judge does not believe what you're saying, then you are going to get an adverse credibility ruling. And because of that, the case will be denied. You will then have to go up on appeal. You'll have to explain why the judge was incorrect in giving the adverse credibility ruling and what can be done in order to get it back down to the immigration court so you can present the necessary evidence. So let me give an example. Let's say, and I'll exaggerate, okay, to make the point. Let's say that you escaped your country because you were being raped by your husband repeatedly and nobody was helping you. The government was not doing anything, and you thought eventually you were just going to die. Okay. And let's say that's what you put in the initial asylum application that was sent to the asylum office, of which, for whatever reason, they denied and it went to the immigration court. Then, an immigration court, let's say that you were put on the stand and the judge starts asking you all kinds of questions, and you say not a word about being raped by your husband, but you say that you were persecuted because you changed your religion to Christianity, and because it was a Muslim country, everybody started coming after you and persecuting you because you were Christian, and you didn't say word one about being raped by your husband. Okay. In that particular case, it is reasonable for the judge to make the adverse credibility ruling that you're just lying one way or another. Either you were raped or you changed religions. And so that adverse credibility ruling essentially is saying the judge doesn't believe you and thinks you're a liar. So let's say that you wanted to bring more evidence in, or your attorney wanted to bring more evidence in, and the judge says, I've had enough, I don't want to hear any more, and makes the ruling and denies it. Now, when it goes up on appeal, you might be able to argue that the reason that the adverse credibility ruling is incorrect is because you both were raped by your husband and you changed religions, and that's one reason that your husband was doing what he was doing, and that you were so flustered by the questioning that you didn't bring it in, or that the judge cut you off and didn't allow you the opportunity to properly explain the situation. So in that particular respect, you can explain why the stories were different, and that in actuality they weren't different. You just didn't bring in all of the necessary facts that you had and or weren't allowed to. I've had judges that one time was looking at her watch over and over as we were approaching lunch, and I had a lot of evidence I wanted to come in, and the judge just cut me off and basically said she's heard enough, denied the case, and so forth. And so I noticed what time she said that. I made the objection on the record. It went to appeal that my client's due process rights were denied because this judge didn't want to allow the evidence in, because this judge wanted to have the case finished no matter what before noon. It was, sure enough, was returned back to the judge, upon which the order was to actually listen and hear all of the available evidence, and ultimately the case was granted. So whereas I gave you a very extreme example, and normally they're not that extreme, as far as, why an adverse credibility ruling is issued, you can normally explain what it is on appeal as to what is giving rise to that ruling. You need to look at what was written versus what was said. You need to look at inconsistencies. You need to look and see if the inconsistencies are major or if they're just minor. So there's all different ways and things you can do in which to assist in finding and reversing an adverse credibility ruling, especially in asylum. Okay.